My name is Amy, I'm 28 years old, and I work as a veterinary assistant at an animal hospital. I spend my days surrounded by animals, exhausting, but deeply fulfilling. That night, after finishing a 12-hour shift and successfully saving a burned Labrador, I returned home completely drained. As I pulled into the driveway, the scene in front of me hit like a nightmare. My belongings were thrown across the lawn. My backpack lay open. Everything spilled out. My work scrubs were tangled around a broken lamp. My winter clothes were half buried in the flower bed. Childhood photos had spilled from an overturned box, scattered like trash. My father stood under the porch light, holding up his phone, filming me as if humiliating me was something to be proud of. My mother stood behind him with her arms crossed, her expression complicated. My sister laughed loudly nearby, kicking over my suitcase, sending my framed certificates sliding into the street. You're 28 years old and still sucking us dry like a parasite. Get out tonight, my father shouted, his voice exploding into the night, loud enough for the neighbors to hear. Across the street, a neighbor sat on their porch, pretending not to watch, but their eyes were fixed on us. I looked at my father's phone, at the lens pointed directly at my face, and gave a cold smile. In that moment, something inside me went completely still. A kind of calm I had never felt before settled in. I silently gathered my things and loaded them into my car. I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I wouldn't give them the satisfaction of seeing me break. When I stood in front of the three of them, I lowered my voice and said, "I hope you all sleep well tonight, because one day, none of you will." I left. I didn't go to a friend's house. I didn't cry in a parking lot. I drove south, past 3 exits, and parked behind a 24-hour gas station. There, I listened to a voice memo I had accidentally recorded while packing. My father's shouting, my sister's laughter, my mother's voice. Let her go. She brought this on herself. I listened to it 3 times. I needed to remember I wouldn't let myself soften this into something it wasn't. That night, I checked into a motel. The bathroom light flickered. I ate a granola bar from a vending machine. And I made a decision. I was never going back. At 1:30 a.m., my phone lit up. My father demanded to know where I was. My mother said I was behaving irrationally. My sister mocked me for having to spend my own money now. I didn't reply. Instead, I took screenshots and created a folder called Their Lies. Documentation became my armor. The next morning, I called Jack. I had met him 2 years ago in the U. He's a paramedic. And the only person I trust, he didn't comfort me. He told me to recount everything, exactly as it happened. I did. After a moment of silence, he asked, "If they begged you to come back tonight, would you?" I stared at the motel curtains and answered without hesitation. "No." "Good," he said. "Don't treat this like something to fix. This is you escaping a fire." He was right. I wasn't leaving a family, I was escaping a system built on humiliation. In the motel lobby, I deleted all the fake family photos. Then I started searching for rentals, picking up extra shifts, and reopening the veterinary certification program I had put off for 3 years. I realized something. They didn't throw me out because I was useless. They threw me out because I stopped giving them what they expected. By the 3rd day, I had negotiated a weekly rate at the motel, secured 2 overnight shifts at the hospital, and after paying expenses, I had $341 left. Strangely, I didn't feel afraid. I felt clear. At work, I assisted in treating an injured German Shepherd with practiced precision. Dr. Davis noticed. She asked why I hadn't applied for advanced surgical training. I gave a half smile and said the timing wasn't right. She disagreed. She said this was exactly the right time. That afternoon, Jack and I met at a roadside diner. He wrote 3 words on a notepad: housing, certification, boundaries. No explaining, no defending, no negotiating, he said. We made a plan. I applied for the certification program. I rented a room above a garage from Mrs. Green, a retired mechanic's widow, and I changed my emergency contact from my mother to Jack. Meanwhile, messages from home began to shift. My father asked about car documents. My mother asked about important items. My sister asked for utility logins. I understood they didn't miss me. They missed what I did for them. The medications for the dog, the bills. The responsibilities I quietly carried had all been mine. That weekend, I moved into Mrs. Green's garage apartment. It smelled like sawdust and old paint. To me, it was perfect. That first night, I sat on the floor eating takeout, enjoying something I hadn't felt in years, peace. My phone rang. My father said the drama had gone far enough. My sister complained that I hadn't paid Mom's car insurance. I laughed. They were just now realizing what life looked like without me. For the first time, I understood revenge isn't arguing. It's letting them experience your absence. On the 6th day, Mrs. Green told me my father had come by that morning, shouting in the driveway. That night, my sister sent a long message complaining. I didn't reply. On the 7th day, Jack told me he saw my father arguing with a cable technician. On the 8th day, my mother called, crying, then blaming me. On the 9th day, a co-worker told me my father had been showing people the lawn incident, but it backfired. People thought he was cruel. That night, my phone was flooded with messages. My sister said my father couldn't sleep. I remembered how certain he had sounded when he threw me out. Now, he was living with the consequences. On the 10th day, while preparing a golden retriever for surgery, Dr. Davis told me my certification had been approved and the hospital would sponsor most of the cost. That night, I listened to the voicemails from my family. My father sounded tired. My mother sounded panicked. My sister sounded afraid. The system they had relied on had collapsed the moment I left. I was never the problem. I was the buffer. My father called me at work. No greeting, just accusations. He even threatened to ruin my reputation if I didn't come back. I recorded the call. Then I asked him to repeat what he said. He went quiet when he tried to raise his voice again. I cut him off and told him the call was being recorded. He hung up. I saved the file. That same day, Dr. Davis officially offered me the training position with a raise. I accepted. When I got home, Mrs. Green told me my father had come by again. She didn't let him in. Apparently, the neighbors were talking. His image was damaged. My sister texted me, asking what I had said to him. I replied, "He went too far the night. He threw my things onto the lawn." 2 days later, my father showed up at my apartment. He looked terrible. He said he wanted to talk. He said my mother was falling apart. My sister was crying every day. He tried to justify everything, said it was for my own good. I told him I was independent now. That made him panic. He stepped closer to the door and said I was making him look like a monster. I laughed. "You did that yourself." He said there was no place in the family for a daughter like me. I replied, "Maybe the kind of family you built shouldn't exist." He reached for my hand. I stepped back and told him I would play the recordings. He left. A week later, the hospital held an animal rescue fundraiser at a park near my apartment. I attended as a representative. I saw my parents and my sister across the park at a community picnic. Someone recognized me as a veterinary professional. Dr. Davis praised my work. My father heard. His smile disappeared. My sister approached me first. She said everything at home was a mess. She said she didn't expect things to turn out like this. I reminded her of how she kicked my bag, how she laughed at me. She cried and apologized. My mother came next, nervous, hesitant. My father came last. He said, "You look busy." "I am," I said. He mentioned the neighbors talking. "That's on you," I replied. I told him clearly I wasn't coming back. I wasn't going to play my old role again. My sister apologized sincerely. My mother tried to speak, then stopped. I told her, "If we ever talk again, it'll be because you've learned to respect me, not because you need something." When the event ended, I stood by my car. I played 5 seconds of that recording from the night I left. Then I deleted it. Not because I forgave them, but because I no longer needed proof. They had already faced the consequences, and I understood something important. Leaving a family isn't always betrayal. Sometimes it's survival. So I want to ask you, do you have the courage to walk away from people who call your pain love? Or will you keep enduring it, afraid of being labeled ungrateful?